Hola, y'all. Boa noite. Boa tarde. Bom dia. How you doing? Happy Thursday. Feliz quinta-feira. I am Krishan Wright. I'm the founder of Blaxit Global. I am the host of the Blaxit Global podcast. You're a Black person and you're looking to move abroad. I'm your girl. Hit the like button. I never remember to say that. Like, hit the like button. Or, hey, listen first and then decide. Right? I'm okay with that. Subscribe to the channel. Help us grow. I think it's feasible that I can get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's make it a goal. Let's see where we are. Let's where we are. Busy in the chat, y'all. Hey, hey. I see we have a channel member in house. Hey, Maureen. Now you know I can't pronounce that. That's Dutch. Hey, let's see how y'all doing. How are y'all doing? Let me see. My scroll is just gone. Okay, here we go. Back in business. Hey, travel is my passion. It's first in the chat. Hey, what is that? North Kakalaki. Hey, how you doing, Deborah? Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Karen A, the AVX girl. Hey, VJ, I haven't seen you in forever. Hey, Winnie B. Hey. Hey, Allison's in the house. Hey, the coding nurse is here. Hello, another channel member. Hey, and our passport members, both are passport members too. Hey, Greta, hope you're feeling well. Yeah, adjusting to my new time. I'm still, I think it's almost official. I know. Every time I move my hands, the camera, I don't do this at all. Like I'm on my new computer. I guess I shouldn't call it new. Maybe November makes a year. Anyway, so happy to be here. Lots to talk about. Goodness gracious. Every time I think I'm gonna have one topic, America does something crazy. So, I'll try and stay on topic. So life is good. Joining you from my home here in Portugal. It is now cooler a little bit. We were in the hotness. Speaking of, I probably should put this air conditioner on because I was cool before, but I'm 51 now. Perimenopause. Me and Perry, we like. Perry is my new homie. Oh, Maureen said she can barely. Hey, Keith. How you doing, Keith? How are you? You guys, listen to Keith. Keith is an amazing person, and he's also a podcaster. And he has a podcast about Black men. So come on, come through, show support, right? Black men speak, right? Let me know if I got that right, Keith. Hey, Tanya, how you doing? Hey, Anya's in the house. Can't wait to see you. Hey, Cheryl, another channel member. Hey, Yvonne. Hey, friend. Yvonne and I used to work together. Hey, friend. Hey, C. Yeah, look, Perry is something. Like I had all these symptoms, these changes, and I was like to the doctor, I need help. And the doctor was like, okay, we're gonna run these tests. And run all these tests. And what did it say? You in perimenopause. I'm like, all right, so it's not in my head. Perry. Okay, yes, I did get it right. Thank you for confirming. I wanted to make sure I got it right. Hey, Harlem Minded is in the house. Oh man, yes. I get up in the middle of the night because I'm either too cold, too hot. Wait, Perry. Like, I mean, when I will get into tonight's topic, I promise. But when I was a kid and you'd hear your aunties and people talking about it, you just thought, oh, at some point your period just stops, right? And for me, mine has been long gone. I had a hysterectomy a long time ago. So I've been wearing white pants every day, on vacation, all the time, right? Like I have no problem. But this is not just it stopping. This is just like everything stopping. And it's like, what? And the thing is, and that's why I'm grateful for technology. I'm grateful for being alive at this particular time on Earth. We're talking about these things because the Gen X's are like, what the fuck? What? What is this shit? Where our parents, our mother's generations, they were like, girl, or not saying anything at all. No, we need to talk about this, but not tonight. Tonight, we're talking about something more important, disturbing even. So, yeah, I read, saw some interviews, read some articles, staggering, and on this channel, we've been talking about it in the lead up. I've had Dr. Kimani on, I regularly talk about like, we need to opt out, right? If you've listened to episodes of the Blaxit Global podcast, actually, it was referenced in the video, in the article a few weeks ago when Blaxit Global was in Yahoo News, talking with my interview with Kirsten and Julian Saunders from the Rich and Regular podcast and their book, Cashing Out, Win the Wealth Game by Walking Away. We also had that as a book club selection in Blaxit Global Passport some time ago, some years back. And they have a framework of how you should look at your career, paraphrasing, of course, in sprints, right? With the goal of cashing out in and around that sweet spot is that last sprint, that last 10 to 15 years, right? And then when I was listening to the book, because I love listening to their voices, it's a podcaster, I had gotten the audiobook. And I realized at the time I was still working, I was like, oh, shit. I'm in the home stretch, right? That and doing my numbers allowed me to realize that I could live abroad comfortably and retire early, which is what I've been doing. Next month makes 2 years in Portugal. And December makes 2 years of retirement. Love it. But that is the goal, right? And so for many of us, we have been conditioned kind of like when we were talking about perimenopause, right? Where, it's a change. Well, people weren't even talking about perimenopause back in the day. They were talking about menopause, but it's something that, it's a life change. You go through it. Retirement is 65, if you're lucky now these days. You work on your job, right? And we never saw opting out of the system as a possibility because we are told, we are conditioned to believe, hey, you got to go to school, get the grades, work twice as hard, get half as much, stay in the grind. Don't let them people push you out of a good job. And guess what? We're finding more and more that these jobs are not good, despite the fact that we are excellent, okay? We are, Black women, the most educated demographic in the United States. The most educated demographic in the United States, which is disheartening with a country filled with of dumbasses that voted for that fool and Occupy 1600. What? It's very disheartening. How many times have we sat in rooms, sat at the table, been knowing we're the smartest person in the room? And when they want to discount our brilliance. Come on now. Steal our ideas. Ignore us. We say something in the room. Don't nobody say nothing, but one of them clear folks say the same thing. It's like, oh, shit. It's a fantastic idea there, Patty. What? No. We're done. So a lot of us have moved abroad, hence the reason why I've been at this for 5 years. And we're saying, you know what? We don't have to stay in the system until our flame is burnt out, right? Our flame is burnt out. And for some, that burnout manifests in different ways. Some, it's just literally like nervous breakdown. Hi, Bailey. Uh, for others, what's up, folks? Okay, you gonna sit there? Okay, good. Bailey's here. Um, for some, it's weight gain, insomnia, depression, anxiety. I was having panic attacks in my corporate career towards the end. Depression, right? Suicidal ideation. We've seen it, especially in academia in recent years. Add to that, hi Bailey, you want to say hi to the people? I knew you were going to come here. I knew it. You were like, Mommy, you can't be on TV and then just like have me not be here. I know everybody wants to see you. And so during the pandemic, we had to keep the face, right? They wanted literally a global pandemic, a disease state for which at the time there was no known treatment, remedy, or cure. Oh, then they had this foolishness on TV. How to dress for Zoom, what clothes to buy, how to do your makeup, selling wigs and stuff. I was just like, yo, y'all are crazy. Are we not going through a global pandemic? But we got to show up, keep the face. And they didn't care that the statistics showed that Black women, Black people in general, but Black women had reported tremendously, right, decrease, like we were here, a very marked decrease in anxiety, depression, because of not interacting with colleagues in the workplace, right? In traditional, sitting at your cubicle, somebody walked by, you're in a meeting, all those things I described, right? Trying to ask for time off if you can. Some people work through illness, you know? And so because things had to be more appointed time-wise when you're home, right? You can't really have too many overlapping meetings, right? So people were able to do things. It's like, oh, I'm gonna take a meeting, go for a walk, go to the gym, clear my head. I don't have to deal with these sidebar conversations. I don't have to put on the mask all the time. I can take a nap. And so they were like, wait a minute, we can't have them have rest, not joy, not when you're supposed to be the mule, not when you're supposed to be the backbone. What? We've been saving America from itself from the jump, holding on to a democracy that was never meant for us. So I said a lot. Alice said she's in agreement. America doesn't value Black women's brilliance and contributions to society. You know that's right. Thank you, Lady Trita. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yes. What? That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And here's the deal. Why? I'm glad you raised that, right? Imposter syndrome. Because it's they who are the imposters, right? We are the ones starting businesses at a faster rate than any other demographic. The highest educated in the United States, because we don't hold 1 degree. Most of us hold 2 or 3 degrees, certifications, something, right? We are driven almost too much, right? And so it's like, why are we feeling like, or made to feel like the imposter? It's them. Towards the end of my corporate career, I was like, you know what? This shit. I'm going to go in there with the. Oh, I just realized, did I take my earring off? Oh, maybe I didn't put it on. I'm like, I'm going in there with the confidence of a mediocre white man. Because you want to see somebody with confidence? Mm-mm-mm. Stan will walk in there flat footed, loud, like he got it like that. And I was like, you know what? Okay, Stan. Because I'm like, y'all doing nothing and you getting all the credit. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to sit back. Let you have this. Let you have this. But see, what they're not planning on, what they didn't plan on, was us opting out, right? Us saying, oh, because see, they see us on social media. They see us in these spaces, line dancing, resting, saying, hey, we're the 92%. We done did our part. We're going to sit this one out. The other day we celebrated um, uh, the best day in modern Black American history, which was wade in the water, right? That scrap down with the chairs, and so we like, yo, we are chilling, and they can't stand it. So they were like, you know what? We're gonna shake the ground up underneath their feet. But for people like me, people like Stephanie, Rashida, Adelia, Dr. Kimani, many of us that you guys watch, we've been saying these things for a long time. Being transparent about our own journeys, talking about it real time. I also had Rory Verrett, who is a corporate recruiter, a few weeks back on the show, talking about like this is the worst time in terms of the job market and what you need to do, right, to prepare. So we've been sounding the alarm. And it's necessary because you have to have a plan. Do not wait until your number is pulled, right? So part of what I want to talk about tonight is the 300,000 that have been impacted and what they should do, if that applies to you. And then also for people who it hasn't yet reached, but you're still in the system. Because you have to remember that the United States is not a country, it's a corporation. And I vacillate a little bit because I used to just like say, okay, United States is not a country, it's a corporation. But you know what I've decided? I think I'm gonna make a separate video about this, but I need to just say it. America is a casino, and the house always wins. And so if you don't want to be one of those saps that is sitting at the table, watching your savings, watching your livelihood dwindle away, you have to be one of those rare people that says, hey, when I'm up, I need to walk away from the table, step back from the table. That is how you win. You don't feed the same system that's oppressing you. We are brilliant. We make the money. We make these corporations rich. They don't give a shit about us. None, i.e. Target. And then what do? We turn around and we go right back to the store because they have a system in place to make sure that we have to buy from them. Think about it. Occasionally I get, not now, but in a couple weeks it will be, I get hair added, right? That's in the United States. I'm going to an Asian store to buy hair to put in my head. What? What? Right? And I know a couple of weeks ago when I mentioned this before, and I was like, oh, we don't have grocery stores, we don't have grocery chains. Oh, well, in this one section of this town in Inglewood, no, I'm talking about in mass. In mass. As much as we can throw down in the kitchen, why is there KFC and what's the other one? Chick-fil-A? Churches? What? Like when I start thinking about and dissecting like all of these different areas, when you think about all the things that you spend your money on, decisions that you make. And so you have to be conscious about where you spend your black dollar. But then you also have to think about, well, how is this person that you're giving your black dollar to spending that dollar? Because literally the dollars that you're working for, you're spending it to fund your oppression, to fund money that now is going over to Israel for them to starve out the Palestinians, to fund a war in Ukraine, to pay reparations to other people when we, it's like, no, not you. Slavery was a long time ago. What? Staying playing in our face. And who's the one still trying to save that damn democracy? So-called democracy. Because remember, you can't even say half the shit that I'm saying. Because for fear that you will lose that job. Right? And that's a functioning democracy. The same so-called democracy, they wanted us, I hope, before they close it, because that's coming. The African American Museum in DC. And I went a couple of years ago. And actually, now I think about it, when I went a few years ago, coincidentally, when I was leaving the museum, that was when Trump was in office the first time, and it was a government shutdown. Like I literally walked out the door and then they were like, I was like, wait, what? Right? So, but you see these exhibits and you see all the times where we were promised things and they took it away. Our rights, our existence, our citizenship in America has always been conditional. Always been conditional, right? I've told my mother years before we got to this point, anything amended can be unamended. And so I was like, looking at, luminaries of the past, like, Muhammad Ali, and where he didn't want to fight in the Vietnam War, and they took away his title. But yet Captain Bone Spurs gets to be president of the United States not once, but twice? What? During the pandemic, when they were doing that faux allyship, black tiles, doing their little paints, eye roll, right? They rolled that back in a nanosecond. And look, once I saw private institutions, right? Education, lawyers, law firms. It's like, what? Kissing the ring. This is what, 7 months in? And some of y'all think y'all can last 4 years as if there's going to be another election? Come on now. No, absolutely not. So I want to talk about some signs of late stage capitalism, because what's happening right now is these 300 Black women that have been shed from the workforce in the past 3 months is it's about bellwether. Rory had mentioned that term before when he was on. And the way I look at it is, Black women have been holding up the United States and holding it down for so long, right? That this moment is indicative of something bigger, right? Because Black women, we are the canary in late stage capitalism in the coal mine, right? Because it's a sign of what's to come. And if you're paying attention to the signs, then you have the opportunity to get your plan together and get the hell out. And it doesn't mean you have to move abroad. I mean, I would love it if you did. But it could be taking a career break. It could be taking some time out of the States for a while, get some perspective, get time to be with yourself, to decompress. So, we're going to talk about some of the signs of late stage capitalism. And you tell me. And then I'll go into the comments because I've been talking for a bit. So, all of y'all are feeling it. And look, I live in Portugal. I feel it. Not as directly, I still I spend in euro, but my money is in USD. So the exchange rate is terrible right now, right? I think this morning it was about 85 cents. And so, that makes things a little bit more expensive. It's not to where I'm like, oh, I got to turn and go back because I ain't never going to happen. But, indirectly, you still feel, effects. But some signs of late stage capitalism. And by late stage, meaning it's the end. Not end of capitalism, but more or less the end of what we thought, or so many of us have held on to, this belief of a functioning democracy, a country that will return to itself. We have to get out of this glorification, romanticism of whatever period in time was your heyday, right? So some of the signs are extreme wealth inequality, the gap between the have and the have-nots. I mean, I read and saw yesterday, I saw a lot of videos and read some articles about like people were getting notified that if their parent was in a nursing home and they were in receipt of Medicare, Medicaid, I don't know which one is which, that they need to potentially collect their loved one in the next 30 days. And I'm like, what? What? So you have billionaires, right? And people are applauding, like, oh, Microsoft is the next $4 trillion company or whatever, $1 trillion company. NVIDIA, $1 trillion company. And this CEO made $1 billion yesterday. And it's like, what? But then when you look at the rate the average worker makes, and somehow those fools that voted for this fool that's in the White House thought a billionaire was going to give a shit about them. You have to understand how many zeros is in a billion, right? So your rent goes up, like mine before I left the States, it went up $500 a month. And, you're looking at that number, you're like, oh shit, what am I going to do, right? That's a real problem. You feel it. But when you're a billionaire, That's the equivalent of less than a penny, right? So no, they don't care what they're doing. You see the Billionaire Boys Club ruling this stuff, and they are unbothered with your pleas. People having to work multiple jobs just to make ends meet. And by multiple, I mean you have your main job, you might have another full-time job, because some people, especially if they're working remote, have doubled on the hours, or you have a part-time job or a seasonal job and or a side hustle, right? CEO pay is obscene. Now, here in Europe, not the case, right? Not the case. CEO salaries, like I made more than CEOs here. When I moved here, I was like, oh, wait, what do they make? Right? It's like, I'm not saying that there aren't people that make a lot of money here. I'm not saying that. But you're not seeing these huge swings in obscene wealth gaps. It's the middle, the middle band, right, is being decimated. Middle band. So you have a working class, and then you have the people at the top. That's it. Another sign of late stage capitalism: commodification of everything. Everything. Basic needs, healthcare, tied to your employment, education. Sending my child for a 4-year degree is upwards of six figures. Housing, just talked about when I left the States. My rent went up. Water, right? Like, think about, still issues in Flint and other places. And they're talking about privatizing other services like the post office, all of these other things, right? And so you're seeing an erosion of community-based resources, right? You're seeing them go away because everything they can do to strip away those supports, those safety nets, and keep you in scarcity mode, it serves them. Even time and attention are, commodified, right? You go on, I wanted to watch this movie that came in my mind, and I own it actually back in the States, but I don't have my DVD player or anything. So I was like, oh, I'm in the mood. It was Notting Hill. I wanted to see Notting Hill, and I was like, oh, let me see where it is. Now this movie done came out probably like 25 years ago, 20-something years ago. And it was like, oh, it's available on Hulu, I think it right. And then it was like, okay, let me go on Hulu. Oh, but you have to subscribe to Hulu with Cinemax to get that. Wait, what? Right? Music, emotions, right? Your time. You go on social media. It's your attention, right? And so you get this algorithm that spits out like everything that keeps you engaged, feeds you. If you're digesting this content, oh, it's coming to an end, It's going to keep feeding you this feedback loop, right? Economic insecurity, another sign. People are living paycheck to paycheck. And actually, I wouldn't even say paycheck to paycheck a lot of times because, they look at the data. People were saving more during the pandemic because they weren't shopping as much. They had the stimulus checks and they knew that. So they were like, oh, inflation. And so you have people that are filling the gap with their credit cards. The rate of credit card consumption is obscene. And then the safeguards they put in place, the protections about overdraft fees for your bank account and the Dodd Act that they put into place, I think during the 2008, 2009 crisis, right? They're trying to, all of that to save the consumer and keep out, predatory credit card, these interest rates. Oh my gosh, when I was in school, I remember being in high school and they were talking about credit cards and he said, oh, anything over, I think at the time, 18% or 20%. I remember he was like, is usury. And now I see like 30% interest. I'm like, what the hell? Right. And even now, right? People thought they were going to get ahead, doing travel hacking and points and stuff. Now these credit cards and got hip and they're like, nope, restricting lounge access, making it obscenely expensive, that you have to have so many points to get to a certain tier. To make it harder. When people were talking about during the pandemic, the great resignation, people were like, oh, you know what? I'm at ease. I'm living my best life. And what they say? Return to office. Return to site. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Another sign, corporate power, right? You got these mega corporations. You have these conglomerates. When you look at, I watch a lot of documentaries, and I highly recommend people watch, documentaries in their free time. They have there's some great ones out there, especially about the food system in the United States. Over 70% of the food in the United States is overprocessed. But when you look at who owns the food system, not just the corporations, because corporations exist and have many brands under their belt, but then who owns the land? You see billionaires buying up massive amounts of land, like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, landowner in the United States is Bill Gates, right? So, we're seeing corporate bailouts. That's what happened during the pandemic. Oh, planes weren't flying, they got bailouts. You see these tech monopolies, right? Everybody's talking about AI. Another sign, late stage capitalism, collapse of social safety nets. Now, I don't know where everybody's living or traveling to, but I know one of my last things I did at my former employer, I had a video shoot and we were in California, and I'm from New York City. I'm from the Bronx. So, I'm used to seeing homeless people. But when I tell you that joint in California was next level, like I was seeing whole ass families tented out on the street, couches, whole 9 yards, like an apartment on the sidewalk. My brother was telling me about, a bunch of stuff going on in New York City. We have cuts to public aid. Meanwhile, the military budget has increased. Now they devoted millions of dollars to ICE. And ICE gets a $50,000 signing bonus and student loan forgiveness. But when we was talking student loan forgiveness before, they said, oh, that's not fair. That's a handout. That's a bailout. I had to pay my loans. They said, oh, they couldn't do that. Oh, but you can incent people to be modern day slave catchers because that's what you're trying to do. And so when people think like, oh, well, how is it that slavery, existed and all this other stuff? Look at what's happening today. Look at what's happening today. Look at crises going on around the world. Gaza, Sudan, Ukraine, America. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Privatization. Pay attention to where the money goes. Venture capitalists have been buying up residential properties in the United States like crazy in recent years. Another thing that they've been buying up quietly, well, probably not so quietly now, nursing homes. Because they know, right? Two things are true. One, the biggest wealth transfer is happening right now from the boomers, silent generation, rather, right? To the boomers and down. And then you have people, Gen Xers, aging up. And the difference is where now you're seeing in this cohort, 50-ish, 60, not to be morbid, but them 60s, some of y'all are having a hard time getting out of the 60s. People are coming down with illnesses in their late 40s, early 50s that make it questionable if they're going to make it out of their 60s. And then obesity has gotten out of control. Why? Because they mess with the food. And now you see like, oh, all this engineering that's happening in the food system. The other thing that's another sign of late stage capitalism, gig economy exploitation, right? Before you can make a decent wage, doing, Uber Eats, DoorDash and things. People were filling in the gap because it was like, oh, something that, will I have a car or a bike or something like that. But now you have these corporations that own it. They want to exploit that labor. They don't want to allow them to unionize. They don't want to pay benefits, right? For some people, this is their full-time job, right? For whatever reason. Another sign, burnout has become part of the lifestyle, right? We've normalized burnout. Oh, just get back in there, take a pill. Productivity is glorified. I don't know how many articles I would read when I was at work and be like, oh, this person's 80 years old and they have been on their job for 65 years. It's like, what? This person came out of retirement because they were bored. No, I am not bored. If you are bored, you are boring. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Right? And so that's when we started seeing more and more trends of quiet quitting, soft life, people signaling, screaming that burnout is real. Another sign, climate crisis. Woo, baby. All the natural disasters seem to be happening right now. I saw in New York City there was flooding, New Jersey there was flooding, all kinds of stuff was happening. And meanwhile, the people that's occupying the government, who you're paying taxes to and everything, they're talking about ending FEMA and things like that. And then, climate change is big. Okay. False promises that, you can still move up, the American dream. It is just a dream because for us, it's been a nightmare. Student loan crisis. People are, buried in debt, right? So you go to school and you have 6 figures of debt, and then you meet somebody and you get married, and then they have 6 figures of debt. Then you got to get a job. You want to have a kid. The daycare is the cost of a mortgage. And then speaking of mortgage, you want to buy a house. A starter home is $500,000. or a closet, right? They keep you tied to systems. And then the last, right, is hyper surveillance. Think about it. All of these things, right? You make it passive. Oh, look at your phone, it unlocks. Oh, put your fingerprint in, passkey. Oh, just look at the camera, blah, blah, blah. But do you realize how much surveillance there is? You're at work, your keyboard, keystrokes are monitored. That's why a lot of people got caught out there during the pandemic when they were resting, right? Security guards everywhere, hyper surveillance culture, hyper policing, and militarization of everyday police force. Because where do you think these bombs and military aid goes when they have a surplus? That stuff is sold back to police departments. And so when we go to protest, the same people that were supposed to be there to protect us are actually using our tax dollars to buy weapons to use against us. Okay, I said a lot. I gotta go into the comments. Okay. God made queen. Hey, yeah, it's true. Oh yeah, thank you for the raising that, Patricia. I forgot about insurance. What? I didn't even know about the earthquakes. The dream merchant said, I'm about to retire at 55 because tomorrow is not promised. Heading overseas to see the world. Yes, before there isn't a world to see. Amen. Good luck and Godspeed. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Patricia said, focusing on my health. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's wild. I mean, I can anywhere when I'm in the States, I can pretty much tell where I am. Like I get off a plane just by the bodies, right? Because they've become distorted. And it's not about fat shaming or anything. Look, like I said, I'm in menopause and I gained some weight. It's about, and I see people doing these videos, weight influencers, losing 200-pound, 300-pound women. Their bodies have become distorted. And you're like, well, it's not because they are hardwired to be big boned and all this other stuff. It's because the food is engineered to make you. I was reading this article about Eli Lilly had it was an article. They released a study today. So they have been doing, I think Eli Lilly is the maker of Manjaro, and they had a study on a daily GLP-1 pill rather than the injection, right? But it was saying like, oh, the foods, like some other makers are buying or making food that is resistant to the GLP-1s. So for the people who are taking GLP-1, and then they're like, oh, but we're going to genetically modify something so that it's going to counteract what you're doing. Motherfucker. These bitches. They are actively trying to separate you from your money. Colon cancers have quadrupled. Yeah. Yeah, we've normalized gun violence. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about the Yep. Yeah. And the farmers that are going bankrupt are the white farmers. And look, as they should, because you know what? They never played fair and they never played right. right? When they wanted to do subsidies to Black farmers as a way to repair the damage that had been done for years, stealing their land. There's been, again, documentaries, exposés about how they were in bed with the USDA and steering, loans and stuff. And then they said, oh, when they were going to give aid to Black farmers, oh, this is reverse racism. And now, because you voted for the orange man, you're losing your shit. You get exactly what you voted for, bitches. I don't feel bad for them. Mm-mm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel bad for them bitches. Not one bit. Mm-mm. Karma has no deadline. The ABX girl said 96% of nursing home patients are on Medicaid to pay the fee up to $12,000 per month. Medicare is extremely limited in paying nursing home or even daytime home health care. Yeah. And more people, because when we think about nursing home, my mom was a nurse's aide, nursing home and nursing, healthcare. You're thinking of people in their 70s, 80s. There are people that are in their 50s, 40s, right? That are in need of this assistance, either because they cannot, work, they have a lot of comorbidities, COPD, obesity, diabetes. Like, it's not a healthy system. Thank you. Um, yeah. So, I mean, I want to, Patricia, yeah, it is not. It is definitely policed way better. The EU doesn't play. That's why people are like, oh, why you move to Portugal? Why you move to Europe? Don't worry about it. Right? Because I see the stories. I see, I'm online. And people are like, oh, in the United States, I can't eat bread. But then when I come to Europe, I can eat bread. Or I eat this and I don't get inflamed. Mm-mm. So, sorry, I'm reading the comment. Geraldine said it's a systemic effort to hold Black people back and keep us disrespected while other communities have built generational wealth and we're still working for them. Yeah, because some people, I mean, again, you have to get past this romanticism of, oh, things are going to get better, or, the change is going to come. I mean, the change is coming, but not the change that you expect, right? Because I had to start thinking about it the other day. Like, back in the day, when you think about history always repeats itself unless you learn from it. And so you're like, oh, well, back in the day, we had segregation, we had busing, we had all of these things. We were shut out of a lot of employment opportunities. Some of our parents, or grandparents weren't able to even receive Social Security benefits, VA benefits, a whole bunch of things, right? There's systemic things, inequities. And you're like, oh, wow, like, how does that happen? But this is this whole, maggot movement, right? Is to bring us back to the quote unquote good old days. And they look at the data. They know that we are dependent on the system. We are dependent on the system. And the system was never meant for us, because the psychological toll that it's taking on us, that's diminishing our agency, diminishing our sense of self, our self worth, burning out our flame, trying to make ends meet. And we are a collective people that is trying to build in an individualistic society that is stripping away the last bare bones of what exists as safety nets. So many people are doing and trying to make ends meet, to keep their head above water. And they're doing it by themselves. They say, oh, the African proverb, it takes a village. But guess what? We're finding the village is gone. When I was younger, we used to have family reunions all the time. We had big family reunions in my family. I have big family on both sides. That stopped over 15 years ago. Right? Think about everything. You have a baby in Europe. The mom gets to stay home with the baby. I remember we had Tamika on the podcast, season 2 or 3, prior to her getting married and having a child. But, she was able to stay home for, a year. Her husband was able to stay off work, out of work for a year. Bonding time, right? The United States, you get, I don't know, like a couple hours in the hospital and then a couple weeks unpaid. And then it's back to work, pop that baby in daycare, 6 weeks old, right? So the village, where the village was supposed to be, goes back to the late stage capitalism framework. Now you've replaced the village and now you have to pay. So they sell it back to you. What? And so what are these people that loved ones are getting kicked out of nursing homes? Where are they supposed to put them? Right? Because A, they don't have the money to pay cash. Some don't have the space or the, bandwidth because they're trying to work. And so capitalism will gaslight you into thinking that it's your fault. You didn't get that promotion, or you didn't get that bonus, or you didn't get that whatever, that ability to move up because there's something wrong with you. No, it wasn't designed for us. And so the exit, people ask me all the time, like, oh, how do I move abroad? Get a plane ticket. Well, first get a passport. Get a passport, get a plane ticket, pick a place and go. Ta-da! But if it was that simple, everybody would be doing it. Why do I say it like that? Because it is not about the logistics as much as it is about the psychological. They have been playing psychological warfare for a long time. A long time. And so the first battle you need to deal with is in the mind. You have to decouple yourself from the system. You have to step away from the table at the casino because they get you. I had a girlfriend I used to work with, and this was years ago, and she was talking about leaving, and people ask questions. I'm pretty open. I'm like, oh, kids. I'm like, well, kids be grown, right? My son's turning 25 next month. My daughter's turning 20, right? So I've thought this out. And I was like, oh, you guys have been working, both you and your spouse, doing well. And the response was, I can't. I love my money too much. I talked to another girlfriend, mom is of age, and I said, oh, mom should be getting ready to retire. No. She loved her money too much. I don't understand that. Because when you travel and you learn about systems back in the day, right? Before we had paper money, It was gold. It was trinkets. It used to be salt. That's where the term salary comes from. Salt. And now money's fake. Ever since Nixon took the US off the gold standard, ain't no different between what comes out of a printer and what comes out. One comes out of the Treasury Department. Why do you think they always printing all these dollars, talking about another stimulus? I saw that foolishness. Another company, startup, $1 billion valuation. Where do you think all this money comes from? But then they claim they have no money to give to us. Okay. You're disrupted because your ancestors are whispering to you. Really, I would say at this point, screaming that this is not right. This is not what they wanted for you. This is not what they wanted for you. This is not what they wanted for you. So I'm curious. What are the signs that you've been, some of you have said it. What are the signs that you've been seeing about time to shift? You're welcome, Mayor. Hey, Greta. Yes. Yeah. It's a mindset thing. Like, literally, fill out the paperwork for a passport, pick a country, buy a plane ticket, get on the plane, get out. Right? That's it. Like on the day, like I had to leave, it's like, okay, this is it. Right. But the battle is here. The battle is getting we're the greatest country in the world, safest country in the world, right? Addictions to consumption. Every time I turn around, uh, there's another storage facility. Like even today, that actually reminds me because I forgot to finish. I think because I was so disgusted. I'm going to see my kids, and I need to go to one part in Cape Cod. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I can find where I'm going, I'm like, oh, okay, let me go and, look at these hotels. And I'm looking at the reviews and I'm like, 2-star, 3-star. I'm like, what in the world? Right? I'm like, I only got to do 2 nights at this one particular place. But the crazy price for like a 2 and 3-star hotel, which I don't do. And I was like, wait, you're charging off season over $300 a night? What kind of foolishness? And then to get anything remotely close to what I get here, right? Was going to be over $1,000 a night. I was like, what kind of craziness for bare minimum? Bare minimum. You have to be building your own off ramp. You have to. Because the first thing that you have to do is make a decision in your mind. Second thing you need to do, probably neck and neck with the one, but we're going to put it second. Have an emergency fund. Have a oh shit fund. Have a I don't trust these motherfuckers fund. Whatever you want to name it. But you need some money, right? Because that is going to make the ground underneath you firmer. The ground is shifting, right? The cracks are bigger fishers, right? You need to have your own safety net. They are not going to save you. So save, right? But if you want to really do it up a notch, kick it up a notch, invest. Make your money make money babies. I have Money Coach Malika on this channel, had her on the podcast. Make your money make money babies. Go in the direction of your dreams. You might not be able to sleep at night because the ancestors are telling you to get the fuck out. And you're like, oh, 5 more years. I just need to hang on. What's going to be left in 5 years? Who's to say you're going to be here in 5 years? Hey, the Howard Worldview, my homies. I think that it's Stockholm Syndrome. Ooh, talk about it. The sirens are loud and the smoke is thick. Ooh, talk about it. Yeah, we are not locked out of the stock market, let me tell you. Because all they see is dollars, right? That's the only place where they ain't going to discriminate. What? Yes, make money. Hey, Jess is in the house. Yeah. But you know what? Spend on you, meaning at one point before I left, and this was for several years, leading up to, because I had these benchmarks and financial benchmarks. And I was like, oh, I could either spend on this thing or I can spend on me, meaning let me invest this bad boy. Let me put this thing in my money market account. Let me buy some S&P or something like that. Let me buy an investment. And this was when the economy or the stock market was, what are you doing? Oh my God, Bailey, where are you going? She is so funny. All right, let me move this back because she's just bulldozing all over the place today. This was when the market was down and money was going. I put it in and it was going down. I'm like, oh, right. You're like, you have to override the battle is in the mind, right? So I had to start training myself not to pull the money out, right? Not to be fearful. There is a Warren Buffett quote, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. And I was like, oh yeah. And now I'm retired. Right? And now I'm retired. I know, because they make 300,000. 300,000. So build your safety net, build your off ramp, and leave the casino. Leave the table. God made Queen said, that's true. It's not hard as I'm making that. I used to live in Spain. I've always had a plan in place and income before I moved anywhere. Absolutely. Yes. Get in community. Get in community. Because you know what? There's somebody in there that's just like you. Somebody in there is just like you, who either has done it before, right? There's 79 episodes of the Blaxit Global podcast that has done it before. And that's why I do the podcast, right? And that's why I come on here, is that representation matters. I was actually given an interview today, which is why I'm a little bit more made up than usual. And one of the questions the interviewer had asked me was, why? And it was like, because representation matters. You don't know how your story, you showing up, lights somebody else's flame that's, either not ignited or dwindling. And by doing that, your flame grows, right? And it gets brighter for someone else to see in the darkness. And so that's why, whether you do it publicly like I have for the past 5 years, or privately, or in community, that is why these things are so important. Because they systematically broke our through lines to our homeland, took away our language, took away our customs, wanted to change every aspect about us, and then again, sell it right back to you. Right? I mean, look, I've seen, I'm not going to call out who but now they sit there and they distort themselves. Butt injections, lip injections, all this stuff. Taking straws to kink up their hair, extensions. Oh, but when we did it, we do it. It's not class. It's ghetto. What? You can't turn a member out, some Gen X, rap music. Oh, da da da. Now you can't buy anything on TV. You hear like every commercial is an old rap song. And I'm like, wait, what? I go to clubs, places around Europe, anywhere in the world, Asia, they playing our music. So they want to profit from us, but they want to give us no credit. Hey, Marissa, how you doing? Look, Job Liberation Virtual Summit. That's a great starting place. You want to figure out how to get your offering up? Marissa was on the podcast as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you know what I'll say too is that we're building new villages. Those of us that have, agree that the village, the systems that we had ancestrally have vanished. And so those systems and villages are being created virtually. And so we have these thriving online communities. And, we're showing up in different ways. Blaxit Global is probably a nice little segue. We're having our 5-year anniversary yacht party in October. And then the next day, we're having our meetup to welcome our sisters from Exodus Summit to Lisbon. And that is a way to bridge virtual community into real life connections. And the power of sisterhood and community and getting together and sharing stories and asking questions and getting those things answered and touching and seeing that these are real people. I am a real person. I have changed. I've become a hugger. So when people come up to me, and I always I never assume that anybody knows who I am. And I'm like, oh, can I give you a hug? I never used to be a hugger, but I hug people now. I'm more open. But it's become a process of blossoming and blooming because you can't heal in the same place you got sick. You just can't. Especially when every day when you can be having a good day and they'll do something to piss in your cornflakes. And now all the guardrails off, right? Supreme Court in the back pocket, Congress in the back pocket, like I said, corporations, law firms, all the things, all the fail safes that the so-called slave holding forefathers created is failing. And here's the deal, and this is what gets back to what my original comment was. Even if it all goes to shit, which it looks like it's going that way, but even if it all goes to shit, guess who they not going to bail out? Guess who they not going to save? So even if some of the things that I've said kind of went over your head and you're like dismissive, okay. But you can't refute that. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. They will save themselves. They will not save you. Hey, Charisse. The detox from the American lifestyle is a real thing. We are consumers and producers. My short time out of the country, I was craving a trip to Target before they became a target to protest. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that for you. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oof. Talk about it. But them little Afrikaners, I was reading this other article today, and he was like, that came over to the little white South Africans and came to America. And like, he's working at a car wash, and he's like, oh, this is hard. Oh, you don't say. You don't say. Listening to Elon's ass. Dummies. Hmm. Yes. I know. I know. All right. Let's see. I'm almost at hour and 30. Okay. Feel free. Ask me any questions. I've been talking for a while. Uh, I've been talking for a while. Oh, yeah. I just saw a comment and it just reminded me. Uh, so 401ks, right? That was the other article I read today that the orange man, I think he signed an executive order because, that's what he does. Uh, that now is allowing you to put crypto in your 401k and other like questionable cryptocurrencies and coins. You mean like the Trump coin? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now you're gonna have maybe not all, but some of these investment companies like clamoring. It's a joke. That's what I said. Money's not real. It's not real. Yep. And notice his behind's laying low, is he don't want to get deported now that he done pissed off his orange boyfriend. The traditional village was deconstructed and encouraged to turn on itself. Yes, recreating them virtually has added strength and additional reach. They weren't ready. Exactly. I'm glad I had the foresight to take Blaxit Global off of Facebook 4 years ago. And boy, people were not happy. They were very, very rude. In fact. Um, and that was at a delicate time because privately I was dealing with a death of my sister-in-law, and so it stung a little bit more. But I was glad that I had the forethought to do it because it created a safer space where we did not have to deal with, people in the community have to deal with all these ads and distractions. Like, they can be about their business. They can get curated content and workshops and accountability groups. And we're doing some enhancements Q4, Q1 of next year that I'm working on. I brought a new team member on. And so I'm glad because these things, the data mining, the all of this stuff, and they literally can track everything. I used to work in digital marketing for consumer packaged goods. They know how much you buy, all this other stuff, right? But taking our community off of social media was the best thing because we could build, we could focus. I could show up in a way that was authentic to me and impactful for the people that are there. And now we have over 30 members that are in Portugal. I mean, people move to other countries too, but Portugal has been the one that has the biggest number, and I get it because I'm here. Um, Not that people are moving because of me. I don't want that to sound right. I'm just saying I attract more people who are interested in Portugal than any other place, right? But if I was in Spain or somewhere else, I'm sure more people would come in. But yeah, yeah, we got some enhancements coming on that I'm working on in the background. Once I get the VAs helping with the events right now, then the next area of focus is enhancements to Passport to move the needle a little bit more. Uh, Sharice is funny. Mess. Let me tell you, I used to work in politics. Woo, man, they could have made a reality show. Some of the shit I've seen. Boy. Mm. Igami. Hey, Igami. Thank you for this conversation. Are there any tips for women signing up for unemployment benefits due to layoff? I'm wondering how to rest. Also creating the next thing. Oh, yeah. So, what I'll say as someone who is a serial laid off person is one of the things that you should do is research, especially if this layoff hasn't impacted you or it has. But research how long unemployment benefits are in your state. Some people have to, like, some people get severance. I've been fortunate in the past, I've had gotten severances. Some states say you can't apply for unemployment benefits until after your severance, has been exhausted, or some allow you to do it, concurrently. But you need to know how many weeks and then how much, because that depends on the state that you live in. Thankfully, every time I got laid off, I was in New Jersey and they pay one of the highest. So it was a nice little chunk of change. But then the other thing that I think is really helpful, some states, I know New York at one point did it. I don't know if they still do because I'm not a resident of New York. And then I knew for a fact New Jersey. But in New York, they used to have where you can get resources to start a business. And in New Jersey, which is what I did, I went back and I got additional job training, not probably Yeah, I guess that's the word to use. And so what I did was, at the time, my job was kind of like a quasi government job. And I wanted to pivot into digital marketing. And so I got I guess a workforce grant, maybe that's what they called it. I don't know. And went to Rutgers and got a mini MBA in digital marketing. And then got the job that changed my career, the trajectory of my career for a lot. Right? And so they paid for it. And so other states do similarly. But someone had told me about it. I didn't know. And then I researched it and figured it out. And so, but I would, Greta said, unemployment benefits have been delayed. Yes, I would not be surprised. And the other thing I wouldn't be surprised is I remember in 2008, 2009, they also did it during the pandemic where they extended uh, unemployment benefits or subsidized part of it through the federal government. Do not bank on that shit happening again. Whether it's this administration or what is it? Vance. I mean, he reminds me of Eddie Munster. Uh, whether it's him, any of the jokers that come, they're not going to do that. Don't even bank on that. Mm-mm. 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 That's what I'm saying. You have to do it. The house always wins, right? So if you don't want the house to win, you got to leave the casino. Okay. I think that was the only question I saw. A great question he got me. I hope that was helpful. Let me scan real quick and see if there was any other ones that I missed. Otherwise, I'm going to let you go. Yeah. No, I think I got all of it. Wow, 4 months? Sheesh. That's horrible. Just said my mom's girlfriend in her 80s was laid off by the new foreign owners that hired their peeps. When she went to file for unemployment benefits, they had to rehire. Whoa. That is wild. Thank you, Lady Shrita. I appreciate that. All right, folks, I think we did it. All right. So hit the like button on your way out. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. Like I said, I have a goal to get to 10,000. Share, right? That'll help. Share it on your feed. Help this community grow. Come into Blaxit Global Passport. We have our accountability group next weekend. And Bailey, why are you looking at me? Come to our parties. Let me drop that link. Bailey, I know because I said I was getting ready to go to bed. Now you got all excited. She's a mess. Come to our events. We have our yacht party, 5-year anniversary yacht party. Got some VIPs coming in the house. And mix and mingle with Black expats, previous guests on the podcast. Come to the Exodus Summit meetup on the 24th. We still have a few tickets remaining. Not many, but a few. And just understand that this process is a manual one. So, people give me a couple days before I send you the email asking you to fill out your form and your meal preferences. But this is a 1, 2.5 person operation. I think one of them didn't come through. Okay, but I'll update it on the description. But in the meantime, have a wonderful night. Be safe. Have a fabulous weekend. Bon fin de semana. And I will see you next week. Okay? Hasta próxima. Boa noite. Ciao, ciao.